Y'all, it is Hope here from Crafty Hope, and welcome. I am working on the second to last page of Junk Journal January in this video. Granted, it is already into March, and I am still got one more Junk Journal January video after this to share, but I've really enjoyed sharing these with you and kind of my thought process of it, and I hope you've enjoyed them as well. Let me go ahead and say I'm suffering with a little bit of a cough right now, so I'm going to try to make it through this voiceover as best as I can. Please forgive me. So Junk Journal January is a challenge that comes from Meg at Meg Journals in collaboration with Get Messy, and I will link at least Meg below. She has been doing this for a while, and she does it in January and July. Is it? I think that's right. So you'll have to check that out. So if you want to join in a prompted month-long junk journaling challenge, definitely check her out. And yeah, I have enjoyed this a whole lot to kind of start out my year and get it going. It'll be nice. I may do it in July, but that's also when ICAD is going on. So we'll see. Especially depending on when the 100-day project finishes up. Okay, so I started these two pages out with some collage. The page on the left didn't have hardly any texture on it, and the one on the right had some writing I wanted to cover up. So yeah, I'm just using a variety of things from my scrap bucket and my trusty Oohoo glue stick to stick some things down. I've sped this up about 4 times the original speed just to get through it, because it's just scrap papers going down. From there, I wanted to make these a little more cohesive, so I'm going to use a little bit of white gesso, actually probably more than I needed to, and I've got a silicone spatula type brush thing that I will spread it out with. And I realize, I think once I start getting it spread out, it's covering up too much of this. I'll scrape it back. Now, what I haven't mentioned yet is that the prompt for this day 30 of Junk Journal January is travel. So I had quite a few things pulled out. I kind of shared them real quick at the beginning. I had some stickers that had like landmarks from famous cities like the Eiffel Tower, and I can't even remember the Eiffel Tower is the one I remember the most, but there were several of those. I don't think I ended up using those at all, but I had some time travel stamps that are in there. I've also got a couple of slides here. These are vintage slides I picked up at an estate sale. You can see them here. And I was trying to decide how best to use them. And I liked them on, and I had 3 of them out, but I decided 2 of them was plenty. That's as far as like how they would fit on this page. I did go through this huge bag I have of these slides to kind of see what would show up the most so that you could see what they were. I'm also doing them face down because on the back of them is written where these photos were taken. So, instead of having like the front side showing or whatever, I did punch holes in them because I wanted to connect them somehow. I don't really know why, but in my head I could see them being tied together with a string, so I wanted to make sure I did that. And yeah, it was just a weird little design element that came out in my head. Now, I knew they worked best on the white gesso. That's part of the reason I used the white gessos. I needed a white surface to put them down on so those images would show, but I wanted to frame them up too, so you saw, drew around them with a Stabilo all pencil, and I'm activating that with a wet paintbrush to frame it up, to give it a little bit of shadow, to differentiate it from the rest of the page. So once I get that activated, I decide I need a bit more collage on here, and what better to collage onto a travel themed page than a map. So I've got this map, y'all, I don't even know. I think it's out of an old atlas I've got, and it may be like an American state, like, I don't even know. I can't tell you right now. But I'm, again, going to use that Oohoo glue stick and stick it down into this, making sure I get it in several spots on here so you kind of get the map design. I wanted to keep those slides as the main focus of this, so I'm not, I'm turning that map in several different directions and all of that. It's not the important part of this. But I wanted it on there as, I'm bringing travel into this in several different ways. Like I said, those slides in general, gosh, I can't even remember where they are from. It seems like, oh my gosh, I just looked at it, but I don't have it in front of me. And I keep looking at them to make sure you can see that the slides through, I don't know, see the images through the slides. Oh my gosh, that's just not coming out right. Sorry. That you can see the images on the slides. Like I said, the white of the gesso really helps bring those up. So I just tested them on white paper when I picked them out. Okay, so I've got these travel themed clear stamps and decide to pick out one that kind of looks like the compass thing that's on a map. What is that called? Is it the legend? What is it? I know there's a term for it and it is escaping me at the moment. So I'm going to stick it on an acrylic block and use this. I believe that's candied apple distress oxide. I will have the correct, if it's not candied apple, I'll have it below, whatever it is. So I decided to use that because the front of those slides had red on them, and in my head I kept seeing red for the spread, so I wanted to make sure I brought that red in. And once I stamp that distress oxide down, because it is water reactive and I have this thing for blurring or activating anything that is water reactive, I am going to go ahead and do that just around a few of the edges of the stamped compass image, which again, this is kind of with the travel theme. I've got a map, I've got pictures from somewhere somebody has traveled, and now I've got this compass. Did I say all of those things? I don't know. I decided I needed more splatter or more red on here, so I'm going to splatter. I've put that down on a piece of acetate, sprayed some water, and I'm using my wet fan brush to get that splatter around all over the page. It even got where some of those slides are going. I let it be. I could have covered those up with something to keep it from going there, but it's fine. To get a little more movement on here, I've got my chunky pencil that I'm scribbling around on the page. It's one of my favorite ways to just bring movement across and around there. So this piece of thread, and y'all, I don't know where this thread came from. I think it was just laying in my craft room. It had come off of something. I honestly don't remember. And I wanted to tie these together. Again, I don't know why. It's just how it came across in my head. And I'm trying to figure out how to do it. So you can see the back side of those have that red on there, which was what made me really want the red on this page. So here I'm thinking about the best way to do this. So I'm going to tack down that thread with some Fabri-Tac, as well as go around the outside of one of those slides and stick it down. Make sure it is nice and secure before I futz with the other one, because I wanted to, I wanted these tied together. It's an odd thing, and I guess maybe it's it being part of the same journey or travel. I don't know. It felt right to me. So I put Fabri-Tac on the back of the other one, keeping those fairly close together. And then I'm going to, Fabri-Tac you get a little bit of workable time with it, but it dries fairly quickly. All right, so once it is dry, I'm going to take that thread, tie them together, and I'm kind of going to leave those, to do their thing. I think it worked in this. So this journal now has this loose thread in here. It's not loose. This thread that kind of moves around. So every time you open that spread, it's kind of in a different place, like traveling, All right, so this last little bit, I picked out a Tim Holtz Small Talk sticker, and it says something like "Life is the adventure you create," or something about adventure. It felt too white to me on this page. And so I'm using a bit of old paper distress ink that I put directly onto the stamp and then on that piece of acetate and kind of smearing it across that stamp to give it that old paper feel. It's not the most eloquent looking thing, but it's yeah, it worked. I think I'm also going to use an ink blender and some walnut stain distress ink to ink the edges just to help it pop a little bit more. Yeah, I didn't want it to pop with the white, but I want it to pop. I don't know. So yeah, actually this might be some black soot. Yeah, that's black soot distress oxide. And I will stick that down. And with that, this spread for day 30 of Junk Journal January 2024 is done. Let me know if you have any questions or comments. I'd be happy to, chat with you about it. And if you like this, give me a thumbs up. Make sure to subscribe. All of that really helps me out. The comments, the likes, the subscriptions, I would appreciate it. Oh no, I did have one more thing. Look at me, getting ahead of myself. It needed to pop even more. So you can see how skinny that brush is I'm using to try to keep it off of that sticker. But I've got my Sybil All pencil again that I went just along that bottom line. I'm going to do the top of that as well. Yep, I'm going to turn it upside down to make it easier to get to with that paintbrush. And then, yep, activate that as well. And then I will be done with this. Oh my goodness, y'all. Thank you so much for sticking through with this with me and my nasally voice today. I appreciate that. We've got one more of these Junk Journal Januaries coming to you very soon, along with all kinds of other fun things. So, like I said, subscribe. I will see y'all then. Bye.